Tonight on NewsWatch, surveillance and security. More about the NSA tracking programs and what they could mean for your privacy.
Plus, says the Syrian civil war wages on. We'll look at a new UN effort to bring aid to the millions of suffering civilians.
And a group that's teaching terrorists like the Boston Marathon bombers about jihad here in America. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. No one, they say, is listening in on your phone calls. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Wendy Griffith. That's what President Obama is assuring the American people. That is, the White House spent much of the day defending shocking, newly disclosed government spying programs.
Yeah, the sheer scope of the surveillance is mind-boggling to many. Dale Hurd has more in tonight's top story.
A top-secret document obtained by the Washington Post shows the National Security Agency and the FBI are tapping directly into the central servers of 9 leading U.S. internet companies, monitoring audio and video chats, photographs, emails, documents, and connection logs that enable analysts to track foreign targets.
The NSA technically is capable under this arrangement of pulling anything that it wants.
Classified program codenamed PRISM began under President Bush. It's been suspected for a long time. It was even the premise for the movie Enemy of the State 15 years ago.
So the government's been in bed with the entire telecommunications industry since the 40s. They've infected everything. They can get into your bank statements, your computer files, your email, listen to your phone calls.
The NSA denied the program just 3 months ago.
Does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
No, sir.
The Obama White House defended the data collection, saying information gathered under the program is among the most valuable and important foreign intelligence we collect. But this is what President Obama said about the program under President Bush when he was a senator.
No more illegal wiretapping of American citizens. No more national security letters to spy on citizens who are not suspected of a crime.
Some lawmakers call the surveillance a critical tool against terrorism.
Within the last few years, there was a domestic case that was thwarted because of their ability to do this.
Privacy advocates are outraged.
It is sweeping. It is not what I would expect out of the United States.
I think they've revoked my privacy rights by doing that.
If it prevents me from getting blown up, then I'm all for the government doing what they reasonably should do.
The White House has denounced the disclosure of the secret program, saying America's security will suffer. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Seton Motley is the founder and president of Less Government and joins us now for more on this. Seton, the administration says these surveillance tactics are protecting America, but others think they're just invading America's privacy. What do you think?
Well, I don't see how you justify a sweeping 3-month grab of every single phone call of the largest cell phone provider in the country as some sort of targeted, effective way to protect America's privacy. I'd like to make a political versus national security juxtaposition. We had evidence aplenty on the Boston Marathon bomber, and we ignored it, right? For political reasons. Because he's a Muslim, Russia's telling us he's a problem, we didn't do anything about it. Meanwhile, we're told that they're sweeping 113 million phone records for 3 months in the interest of national security. I would argue, when we have evidence for national security and we don't do something for political reasons, my concern is they're collecting 113 million Americans' phone records for political rather than national security reasons.
Now, I was talking to some folks this morning, and they said if this so-called government overreach means that it's going to keep us all safer, that they're okay with it, that they don't have anything to hide, that the government can see who they're calling. Do they have
I don't want to live in a country where the government can kick down every door in the hopes of catching people doing stuff. Do you want to be at home doing nothing wrong and have a government, the police or a federal agent kick the door in and say, oh, you're okay, thanks, we'll go to the next house now?
Well, do you think this will wake people up to the enormity of what they've lost in terms of their privacy and cause perhaps a public backlash?
I have thought we've been in a downward anti-freedom, anti-liberty decay for over 100 years now, going back to Woodrow Wilson, or about 100 years. We're right there. I've been thinking for a while now with the internet, God's gift to freedom is the internet, as far as I'm concerned, certainly in America. And I think with the advent of that, with alternative media, God bless Rush Limbaugh for inventing talk radio, I think with the growth of all of this, it's slow, it's steady, it's incremental, but I think we may be in the 100-year ascendancy of trying to restore what we had when Woodrow Wilson was elected, which he began to whittle away at. I do feel that it's a long arcing trend, but I think we're at the very beginning of it. And I think this Verizon thing, along with the PRISM program with the 9 internet companies, will be a huge wake-up call to all of this.
All right, Seaton, thanks so much as always. We appreciate your insights.
Thank you very, very much. Have a good one.
175,000 jobs were added to the U.S. economy last month, despite a rise in unemployment. The Labor Department reports unemployment rose from 7.5 to 7.6% in April. Yet employers have added an average of 155,000 jobs the past 3 months. Last month's gain almost matches the average 12-month increase of 172,000 a month. The economy has grown at an annual rate of 2.4% this year, but economists are concerned that spending cuts and higher Social Security taxes will slow the rate next quarter.
A senior IRS official has apologized to Congress for wasting taxpayer dollars at an employee conference. The IRS spent, get this, more than $4 million at a training event in Anaheim, California 3 years ago. The perks included tickets to Major League Baseball games and $64,000 worth of gifts for attendees. They also spent $50,000 to produce a Star Trek video and another video of IRS agents dancing. House Oversight Committee Chairman Darrell Issa called the spending maliciously self-indulgent. The IRS official who played Spock in the Star Trek video faced the wrath of Congress today.
I have looked at that video over and over again, and I swear I do not see the redeeming value.
What were you thinking? Were you thinking this will never be seen?
Frankly, they were not appropriate at that time neither, Mr. Chairman. And the fact of the matter is it's embarrassing, and I apologize.
That hearing was actually yesterday, not today. The IRS spent $49 million on 225 employee conferences over the past 3 years, but they have cut conference spending drastically in the last year.
Let's hope so. President Obama and his Chinese counterpart are meeting today to discuss future relations of the countries. It's the beginning of 2 days of talks in California. On the agenda will likely be North Korea's nuclear program and the economy, along with an emphasis on cybersecurity. China has publicly denied spying on the U.S. government and businesses, but a recent Pentagon report pointed to China for a number of cyber intrusions. And the cybersecurity firm Mandiant also has linked a secret Chinese military unit to years of cyber attacks against U.S. companies.
The United Nations is launching its biggest effort thus far to bring aid to the millions of struggling people due to the Syrian civil war. The UN says the situation there is going down quickly, and they need over $5 billion to fund operations through the end of 2013. The UN estimates nearly 7 million civilians inside Syria need help, as well as more than 1.5 million that have fled to neighboring countries. Funding for food and medicine remains a top priority for the UN.
At the same time, you don't
For more on the
claim
situation
that
in
someone's
Syria,
guilty.
we turn now to senior international correspondent George Thomas. George, the UN is launching this effort to bring aid to civilians in Syria. What are the conditions like for those in Syria who have not yet fled?
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, the reality is that you have a situation where half the country is suffering. You've got immense destruction. You go to Homs, Latakia, the suburbs of Damascus. Clearly, there are homes that have been completely obliterated. Hundreds of thousands of people have now moved to neighboring countries, Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon. So the situation is spilling beyond the borders of Syria because, the artillery, the fighting is so intense, they have nowhere to go, and so the aid is desperately needed.
Syrian's opposition group is saying now that the involvement of Hezbollah is turning this into a sectarian conflict between Sunnis and Shiites. What does that mean for the war?
Yeah, people need to understand, we're talking about terrorists designated by the United States fighting another terrorist group. So you have Hezbollah and on one side, Hezbollah and Iran versus Al-Qaeda. So you have two terrorist organizations fighting each other for the control of Syria. So it's a dicey mix. And so the question is, who does the United States support?
Let's talk now about Israel. Yesterday, they moved tanks along the border in the Golan Heights. Should Israelis be concerned that the war is actually going to cross the border into their country?
They have all reasons to be concerned because the Austrians, they had about 390 UN peacekeepers in this buffer zone, keeping the Syrians on one side, the Israelis on the other side. The Austrians said, we're out of here. And so they are leaving the Golan Heights because the fighting is getting closer and closer to the Israeli border. The Israelis are moving tanks to the area to say, listen, we are making a buffer zone. Don't think about allowing this to spill into our land. We will have to respond. And so obviously that's a big concern.
George, is there any end in sight, or are things going to have to get worse before they get better?
No, I think it's a huge dilemma because partly because the United States just does not know how to deal with the situation. If you look at historical aspect, the United States in the Middle East situation has always inserted itself somehow into the region. Today, it's taken a hands-off approach because they don't know exactly what to do. Should we arm, like I said, the Free Syrian rebels? Should we arm, who do we support in this fight? And so that's the challenge. And I think, the option, all options are not good, but trying to figure out how to bring this to a peaceful resolution just doesn't seem to be something we can happen very soon.
All right, George Thomas, our senior international correspondent. Thanks, George.
You're welcome.
Wendy.
Coming up, the system is causing a wet weekend for many along the East Coast.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
In 2008, my husband Gary departed for heaven. I was still grieving. And then to find out I had cancer, I began praying, God, how do I do this? Where do I do this? Cancer Treatment Centers of America was the place. Dr. Neelam outlined a plan that would take care of my mind and my body, and she prayed with me.
For Bible-believing Christians, we're able to pray with them in a much deeper way as they begin to really rely upon their faith.
At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we believe in the power of faith and prayer as indispensable allies in the fight against complex and advanced stage cancer.
I'm back in Telluride on the mountain skiing. I feel strong and healthy.
Advanced medicine and technology.
And I am a survivor.
The warm embrace of the Spirit and the power of prayer.
These are happy tears.
Please go to cancercenter.com/faith. Appointments available now. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits.
Tropical storm Andrea has made her presence known in Florida and up the East Coast.
Yeah, we're feeling it outside. Andrea is the first named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season. For more on the system, we turn now to Caitlin Burke reporting from the oceanfront in Virginia Beach.
The worst of Tropical Storm Andrea isn't expected to hit here in Virginia Beach until later this evening. But as the storm works its way up the East Coast, folks in its path have seen heavy rains, strong winds, flooding, and even some tornadoes. People in Florida are already cleaning up. Andrea made landfall Thursday evening, 65-mile-per-hour winds sending residents scrambling. This dramatic surveillance video captured the moment a tornado ripped through a popular restaurant in Gulfport.
This happened while we were closed, thank goodness. Nobody was injured.
Another tornado tore through Luxahatchee.
Heard it start to rumble, so I grabbed her and we got in my bathroom closet.
Meteorologists don't expect the storm to strengthen into a hurricane, but flooding is a major concern.
Because we're scared that our house is going to flood.
Flash flood watches have been issued from Georgia to Maine for much of the weekend. The worry is that sudden bursts of rain could overwhelm sewers and cause rivers and creeks to flood. New Jersey officials are taking no chances. Damage caused from Superstorm Sandy is still fresh on their minds. Officials brought in extra generators to keep emergency operations running in case of a power outage. Andrea should continue to weaken throughout the afternoon and evening, but the storm will soak millions by the time it's run its course. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
A battle between religious freedom and gay rights is shaping up in Colorado. A gay couple has filed a discrimination complaint against a bakery. The owner, Jack Phillips, refused to sell them a wedding cake because of his Christian faith. The couple planned to marry in Massachusetts and celebrate in Colorado, where civil unions are legal. Colorado's civil unions law does not provide religious protection for businesses. Phillips could face a $500 fine if he loses the case and does not comply with the order. He could also go to jail for up to a year. His attorney says, quote, it would force him to choose between his conscience and a paycheck. I just think that's an intolerable choice.
Up next, a radical mosque in the middle of one of America's biggest cities. We'll show you where.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes now.
In 2008, my husband Gary departed for heaven. I was still grieving. And then to find out I had cancer, I began praying, God, how do I do this? Where do I do this? Cancer Treatment Centers of America was the place. Dr. Neelam outlined a plan that would take care of my mind and my body, and she prayed with me.
For Bible-believing Christians, we're able to pray with them in a much deeper way as they begin to really rely upon their faith.
At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we believe in the power of faith and prayer as indispensable allies in the fight against complex and advanced stage cancer.
I'm back in Telluride on the mountain skiing. I feel strong and healthy.
Advanced medicine and technology.
And I am a survivor.
The warm embrace of the Spirit and the power of prayer.
These are happy tears.
Please go to cancercenter.com/faith. Appointments available now. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Welcome back. A few years ago, FBI agents uncovered documents revealing the Muslim Brotherhood's strategy to transform America into an Islamic state. A key part of the plan calls for American Muslim groups to promote the Brotherhood's radical message.
In tonight's Focus Report, Eric Stakelbeck looks at how one of those groups is spreading its influence in a city that recently experienced a deadly Islamic terror attack.
U.S. authorities are still piecing together how the two brothers behind the recent Boston Marathon bombing became Islamic terrorists. Tamerlan Tsarnaev had traveled to al-Qaeda hotbeds in southern Russia, where authorities believe he may have met with known terrorists. Closer to home, he and his brother attended a Boston-area mosque with radical ties.
The fact is that these fellows attended, just blocks from their house, a radical mosque that has been the center of controversy in Boston for 10 years.
Charles Jacobs leads Americans for Peace and Tolerance, a group that has closely monitored Islamic radicalism in the Boston area. He told CBN News the Islamic Society of Boston Mosque in Cambridge has seen convicted Islamic terrorists pass through its doors.
The founder of that mosque, blocks from where the Tsarnaevs lived and where they prayed, was Abdul Rahman Alamoudi. He is the model of deception in American Muslim history. He convinced President Clinton and also President Bush that he was precisely the kind of moderate Muslim leader that America was looking for. In fact, he deceived everyone. He's now in jail for 23 years for giving money for funding al-Qaeda.
Other worshippers at the Cambridge Mosque have included Afia Siddiqui, an al-Qaeda member convicted of plotting attacks on New York City, and Tariq Mahenna, sentenced to 17 years in prison for planning to assault a Boston-area shopping mall with automatic weapons. Sheikh Youssef al-Qaradawi, a former trustee of the mosque, is a Muslim Brotherhood spiritual leader and terrorist supporter who's banned from entering the United States. Jacobs stressed that it's unclear whether the mosque played any role in the Tsarnaev brothers' radicalization. But CBN News spoke to one moderate Muslim leader who visited the mosque with his wife in 2003 and was shocked by what he found.
Tell us about the Islamic Society of Boston and what you saw there firsthand.
Going to upstairs, I found their library, and it's full of flyers from newsletter in Arabic, and they, a call for jihad against America and against the Jews and against the Christian. And at that time, there was a sheikh giving sermon, and the sheikh is as fanatic as the written materials.
The group behind the Cambridge Mosque is called the Muslim American Society, or MAS. It was founded in 1993 by Muslim Brotherhood members and has dozens of chapters throughout the United States. Federal prosecutors have called MAS the overt arm of the Muslim Brotherhood in America. Its ties to the Brotherhood, a group dedicated to establishing Islamic Sharia law worldwide, have not stopped MAS from expanding in Boston. In 2009, it opened another mosque in Boston's Roxbury neighborhood, just a few miles from the Cambridge location.
The Islamic Society of Boston Cultural Center is the second largest mosque on the entire East Coast. It cost $15.5 million to build, and more than half of that money reportedly came from Saudi Arabia.
The Roxbury Mega Mosque is the sister mosque to the one in Cambridge.
They share exact leadership. They're owned by the same people. It's the Muslim American Society. The trustees are the same. They may have different day-to-day managements, but it's the same.
Jacobs says the two MAS mosques also share the same radical Muslim Brotherhood ideology. Yet Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick and Boston Mayor Thomas Menino both endorsed the Roxbury Mosque when it opened in 2009. Jacobs' organization released a video showing Governor Patrick publicly embracing a controversial imam at a 2010 event at the mosque. During a sermon just 2 months prior, that imam, Abdullah Farouk, had seemingly encouraged worshippers to engage in violence when supporting Muslims who have been arrested on terrorism charges.
Grab onto the typewriter, grab onto the shovel, grab onto the gun and the sword. Don't be afraid to step out into this world and do your job.
Jacobs was encouraged recently when Governor Patrick disinvited the imam of the Roxbury Mosque from an event honoring the victims of the Boston Marathon terror attack. CBN requested an interview with representatives of the Roxbury Mosque, but received no response. A spokeswoman for the Cambridge Mosque declined an interview due to health reasons. Local Muslim sources told CBN News that followers of the Muslim Brotherhood have also tried to take over other mosques in the Boston area. Dr. Mansour calls it a nationwide problem.
They are using the American Constitution, the American values of freedom of belief and freedom of speech, and the American mosques.
Eric Stackelbeck, CBN News, Boston.
Up next, miracles and more. How God is moving after that devastating Oklahoma tornado.
Ow, my feet hurt. My feet hurt, your feet hurt. White hot pain, I wanna cry. Is there anything I can try?
Why, yes. Introducing Strut Soul Angels, the human shock absorber that helps alleviate foot pain.
The first 10 steps in the morning to the bathroom were excruciating. Within 3 days after I put Struts on, it's been such a relief.
Slipped it on and almost immediately I felt a support, kind of like a pillow underneath my arches.
The Struts Soul Angel provides a great amount of relief and support throughout the course of the day, providing shock absorption and relief of pain.
On your feet without proper support can be painful. Strut Soul Angels promotes better balance, control, and body alignment. Standing in your heels all day is painful, but slip on Struts and you'll enjoy comfort and support 24/7. Struts is so versatile, you'll wear them in every shoe you own, even barefoot.
I'm on my feet all the time. I teach 11 and 12-year-olds. The pain was so much that I knew I had to do something. And with the Struts, I can do my job and enjoy my job.
I usually am on my feet from 8 to 12 hours a day. When I wear my Struts, it's like giving my feet a hug all day.
It's life-changing. I wear them from the minute I get up to the minute I go to bed.
Why pay $400 for custom orthotics?
Now get Strut Soul Angels for just $10. You also get Miracle Foot Repair Cream, absolutely free. Use it to help relieve dry, calloused feet overnight. But wait, call right now and we'll double the offer free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Plus, you get a 100% money-back guarantee. If not completely delighted, send it back. But keep the foot cream as our gift just for trying. You get it all. A $70 value for just $10.
Oh, yes! Love my Struts, love my Struts. The best thing since sliced bread. They heal pain from toes to head. Get yours now, your doctor said.
Struts, be nice to your feet. Call now.
Call 1-800-787-1580 and get your Struts and Miracle Foot Repair for just $10 and we'll double the offer. That's 1-800-787-1580 or visit getstruts.com.
Operation Blessing workers still helping people get their lives back together in Moore, Oklahoma, the area hit by that massive tornado.
Yeah, and they're hearing stories of small miracles. OB spoke with Dave Evans, the pastor at Highland Baptist Church on the east side of Moore. Evans says even though his community was devastated, there have been some powerful God moments.
One of our church members that we love so much, Cindy, she was killed in the storm. Several days after we had her memorial service, I got a call from a man who was volunteering, who was helping a few blocks from where Cindy lived. And he found a Bible in a Bible case, and it had Cindy's name on it, and it had some information about the church. And he did some research, and he called me and said, I have a Bible I want to give to you. And so I called Cindy's son, and he just began to weep, thinking about how special this Bible was to his mother and how she carried it with her everywhere.
Oh, that's so touching. Yeah. Well, Operation Blessing crews continue to help residents clean up debris and repair damage.
Yeah, volunteers are also offering emotional and spiritual support through hugs and prayer, and that is so needed right now.
It really is. They're not out of the woods yet.
That's right. Huge tornado. Well, that's all for this edition of NewsWatch.
Thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Bye.